You told yourself you were done. You deleted the messages, removed the photos, said that's it. It's over. Maybe you even blocked them. And still, at 3 in the morning, you're lying there thinking about them, replaying the same conversation, remembering something they said 4 months ago, thinking of what you should have said back, imagining how they're living without you, then imagining whether they think about you at all, then realizing you've been staring at the ceiling for 20 minutes. You walked past the place where you used to go together, and the whole day was ruined. You heard a song, and it hit you like a wall. You met someone new, someone kinder, more available, objectively better for you, and you're still thinking about the other one. You call it weakness. You tell yourself, get it together. It's been months. Move on. You're a rational person. You know this doesn't make sense, and you still can't stop. This is not weakness. This is not some special connection you'll never find again, and it definitely doesn't mean they were the one. Your brain got caught in a trap that evolution spent millions of years building, and it works exactly the same way in heartbroken people, in gamblers, and in laboratory rats. Let me show you how. In the 1950s, a neuroscientist named James Olds accidentally implanted an electrode in the wrong part of a rat's brain. He was trying to study pain responses. Instead, he hit what would later be called the reward center, the nucleus accumbens, a small cluster of neurons roughly the size of a pea. The rat was given a lever. Press it, get an electrical pulse directly to that region. The rat pressed the lever up to 700 times per hour. It stopped eating, stopped drinking, ignored a female placed in the cage. It pressed until it collapsed from exhaustion and immediately pressed again. This wasn't pleasure. It was something else entirely. Later researchers figured out the distinction. The reward center doesn't fire for pleasure. It fires for the anticipation of pleasure, not for receiving something, for the possibility of receiving it. One neurotransmitter drives the whole system. You have heard of it. It's called dopamine. Dopamine is not the happiness chemical. It's the hunting chemical, the seeking chemical, the what-if chemical. And here's the discovery that changes everything. Dopamine spikes highest, not when a reward is guaranteed, but when it's unpredictable. Researchers gave rats 2 levers, one that always delivered food, and one that delivered food only sometimes at random. The rats almost lost interest in the first one. The second one, they pressed relentlessly. Unpredictability is not a flaw in the system. It is the system's most powerful trigger. This is exactly how slot machines work, how social media likes work, and how certain people in our lives work, whether they know it or not. Not all obsessive thoughts are the same. There are 3 types of people who get stuck in your head, and each has its own biological reason. Type 1, the inconsistent, one day, warmth, attention, closeness. You feel seen, you feel chosen, then silence, distance. You don't know what changed. You start analyzing. Did you do something wrong? Did you imagine the whole thing? Then warmth again. This is the unpredictable reward loop in its purest form. Your brain works exactly like that rat at the lever. You can't stop thinking about this person, not because they're extraordinary, but because they're inconsistent. The inconsistency itself creates the obsession. A stable, kind, predictable person doesn't trigger this response because the dopamine system adapts to them quickly. To someone unstable, it never does. It keeps waiting. It keeps reaching. Type 2, the unfinished. In the 1920s, a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik noticed something odd about waiters in a cafe. They could recall every detail of orders that hadn't been paid yet, and almost immediately forgot ones that had been settled. She ran experiments. The result: unfinished tasks stay in memory, roughly 1.5 to 2 times longer than completed ones. This became known as the Zeigarnik Effect. The brain cannot let go of open loops. A relationship that ended without explanation. A person you never said the most important thing to. A situation where you never got an answer. These don't release. Literally, neurobiologically, the brain keeps them in an active state, like an open tab, because it's waiting for resolution. Resolution that isn't coming, Because life, unlike the brain, is not obligated to close its loops. Type 3, the mirror. This is the hardest case and the one almost nobody talks about. Sometimes a person gets stuck in your head, not because of what was between you, but because of who you felt like when you were with them. Seen, understood, alive, significant, like the best version of yourself. And when they left, that feeling left too. The brain isn't looking for the person, it's looking for the state that was associated with them. And until it finds another source of that state, it will keep returning to the only address it knows. Neuroscientist Helen Fisher scanned the brains of people who had recently gone through a breakup and were still obsessed with their former partner. 3 regions lit up. The first, the ventral tegmental area, the core of the dopamine system, the same region that activates in people with addiction when they think about a substance, in gamblers when they think about a game, in people in love when they think about a person. The second, the nucleus accumbens, the center of craving and motivation, the exact region that drove Olds' rat to press the lever 700 times an hour. The third, regions associated with pain and anxiety, because separation is literally pain, not a metaphor. Physiologically, the pain of social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical injury. Fisher's conclusion was stark. Romantic love is not an emotion. It is a motivational state. Neurobiologically, it is closer to hunger and thirst than to joy or sadness. You're not missing someone. You are experiencing withdrawal from a specific neurochemical cocktail that your brain produced in their presence. And it wants that cocktail back. Can this actually change? Yes, but not the way you've been told. Just stop thinking about them is like telling Olds' rat to just walk away from the lever. Willpower is almost useless here because you're trying to fight an evolutionarily ancient system using the prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain that came along much later and loses this fight regularly. Here's what actually works. First, cut the reinforcement loop. Every time you check their profile, you press the lever, even if there's nothing there. Especially if there's nothing there, because next time there might be something. That possibility is what keeps the loop alive. Blocking someone is not immaturity. It is neurobiological hygiene. You are removing the lever from the cage, not because you are weak, because you understand how the system works. Second, close the loop artificially. If the relationship ended without explanation, your brain will generate versions of what happened indefinitely. That is its job. An unfinished task must be finished. Write the letter you'll never send. Say out loud everything you never said, to an empty room, to a voice memo, to a therapist, not to achieve closure. That phrase is too abstract to be useful, but to give your brain a final period. The neural circuit stuck on pause is looking for resolution. Give it one, anyone. Third, find a new source of the state. If this person was a mirror, you're not looking for them. You're looking for the version of yourself you were around them. That is the precise thing to understand. The question isn't, how do I forget them? The question is, where else can I feel that way? What gave you that feeling before them? What could give it to you without them? People, activities, environments. The brain stops returning to an old address only when it finds a new one. Fourth, time works, but only under one condition. Fisher's research showed that activity in the dopamine system does gradually decrease even without intervention, but only if you stop feeding it. Every time you reread the conversation, listen to their voice messages, revisit their page, you reset the clock to 0. Time heals, but only if you let it. The brain is built so that the most vivid memory is always the unfinished one. The most magnetic person is always the unpredictable one. The loudest thought is always the one you told yourself not to think. You are not weak. You are biologically normal. But now you know how the trap works. And knowing that, for the first time, gives you a choice.